What's up, everybody? Wolf from Walmart. We're back. We're back, baby, again.
Not a bad fish right there, guys.
Oh, no.
Out here catching Folsom bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker. What up, what up, what up? We back again, episode 3. I had some coffee today in the afternoon, which is rare for me. So yeah, I'm all jacked up and it's going to be a good time. And I'm actually super excited about this episode. I got a buddy on here that has been, we've been talking here and there for the past year or two. And like, we have a lot in common that I found out. And it's just helped the relationship quite a bit. And now I actually got to meet him last year and face to face in person. We got to talk and like hug it out and stuff. It was real cool. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my buddy Ryan.
What's
Small
up?
Jaw Doll.
What's going on, bud?
What up, man? How are you?
I'm good. You know.
Good. We were talking in the green room. He's getting ready for a big trip. So, you know, he's going to be up all night doing tackle. And I figured I'd, you know, say, hey, let's jump on this thing. He's all perfect. I'm going to be up all night anyways.
Hopefully not too late.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's always the goal until you find yourself respooling every rod at 1 a.m.
Dude, I can get so consumed by that stuff. I start and the next thing OCD and the next thing you know, I didn't even get done what I started to do because I'm messing with something else. It's
Dude, I do it. It's awesome. So let's jump into this real quick. You and me both have a similar obsessive compulsive tendencies, yeah?
Yeah.
I
would agree.
Yeah, we're pretty obsessed. At least I am. I find that fishing is my biggest obsession until I got a kayak, and now it is like I'm having a battle of obsessions right now, whether I'm going to work on my kayak and tinker with stuff or if I'm going to tinker with tackle. Either way, I'm going to get in the water after, you know? So at least it's my battle right now, personally. Let's go ahead. So you were born. Are you a 82 kid?
Yep. February 23rd, 1982.
Oh, you're just a little bit older than me. Oh yeah. Well, so jump into it. So you were born where, when, how'd that work out?
Born in Kettering, Ohio. Mommy and daddy made me, I guess. I grew up in Kettering, man. I had two parents. They stayed together. You know, the normal little middle class Kettering family.
That's awesome, dude. So you just you weren't born with a rod in your hand. You know, if you weren't born with a fishing rod in your hand. So how did childhood look for you? What were you running around doing?
Playing sports mostly. Yeah,
oh, yeah?
I've always been athletic, man. I played baseball, football, basketball.
That's awesome, dude. What were you in basketball? I played basketball a lot.
Point guard.
Yeah, same. Cheers.
Me and my buddy down the street, his dad coached the team at the rec center, and we played.
Oh, it's awesome. So you're an outside shooter, played all day?
Yeah, me and him. I mean, it was pretty much me and him ball hogging the whole game.
Yeah.
I think I did that. So like, that was when we were younger. That was like 10, 11, and 12 years old. We played at the rec center.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
what were you getting into after basketball? How did you find fishing? Were you fishing your whole life, or was it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, my dad was the type that would go out and catch like crappie and bluegill and stuff like that. And we always had like real crappy boats, but we had a boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember when I was younger, like my two uncles and my dad, we would all get together and go to like a local lake, Caesars Creek or Cowan Lake, and catch crappie. They would get minnows. We would go out on the two boats. My uncle would bring his boat, and we'd sit there and throw minnows on a bobber on the wood out there at Caesars and catch them. Dude, that's what awesome. I remember. That was like my youngest memory of fishing with pops.
So full on bass boat, lunch, John
No,
boat.
like I don't know what you would call it, like a 1989 kind of like a family type boat,
That's awesome. That's
not
awesome.
not like a
Plenty of
fishing
space to
boat.
run around. Okay, so you could like move around. You weren't just like fishing. You're being a little kid and stuff running around.
Yeah. Take mom out on the boat, you know, a little family time boat.
That's
But my
awesome.
dad was always the main thing was to go out and fish.
I'm not opposed to it.
No, yeah.
So you were fishing and playing sports, all that kind of stuff. How did it become bass? Like how did it become smallmouth? Where did you turn the corner for that? Was that later on in life or?
Well, you know, I would always like also when I was younger, I would always go play in the creek. That's what we did when we were kids. So we had this creek that runs along the back of the neighborhood in Kettering where I lived. And we'd get a pillowcase and go catch as many snakes as we could. And, you know, 20, 30, 40 garter snakes and queen snakes and northern water snakes. And we'd throw them on a pillowcase and bring them home. And we would also take our poles down there and catch little creek chubs and little bullheads and stuff like that. And every once in a while, you'd catch something different, be a little smallmouth, something like that. But I never really got into the bass fishing until I was probably maybe 12 or 13. I
So
would go to Kmart and
go ahead.
steal
You go to
lures from
Kmart?
Kmart.
That's awesome.
I remember, dude, this is no lie. So, like like I said, we're middle class, so my parents would buy me stuff, but I wanted more. I always wanted more. So I remember taking these Rapala, and you know how they're in the little plastic case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I did it, but I remember taking them out of the case and putting them in my pocket. And then when I left the store, I couldn't get them out of my pocket because the treble hooks are all stuck in there. But I had this tackle box, dude, and I had every old little F9 and F11 Rapala and everything Kmart had. I had in that tackle box.
You had Kmart in the box. That's awesome. Hey man, I was stealing like beer and things like that when I was a kid. I just grabbed it started with shoelaces, like because I
Okay.
wanted shoelaces for my shoes. So
Yeah, that happened too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, youth and klepto. I love it. I
Well,
love it.
I always hung out with like older kids in the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Same. Yeah.
So they were a bad influence on me, and you know they were getting into that stuff, the whole drinking and smoking, and you know by the age 12 and 13, I was doing that on the daily, probably pretty much.
Oh yeah. Same, dude. Now did you start with like cigarettes and beer, or was it like hey, just
Yeah,
have this?
stealing dad's cigarettes. Dad always had beer, so you know I could steal whatever I wanted from him.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, once he found out that I was doing that, it was pretty much, he really didn't say anything. Before I knew it, you know, by the time I'd say 14, 15, my dad was smoking pot with me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Dude. Well, I mean, it's hard to like judge that as a youth, at least for me. It was because my folks were not down, but I had friends' parents who were down, and so I was like, it can't be that bad if it's cool. Like if I'm not getting in trouble for it, like it's not that bad,
Yeah. And then you always had that friend whose parents would let you come over and do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we had a lot of them around the neighborhood too.
Yeah. So you got you went from like sports and fishing into like kind of partying more with your friends, or was it
Yeah,
kind of an
pretty
even
much.
balance?
So I played sports up until ninth grade because like and the whole time going through elementary and middle school, like I had straight A's and B's, dude. I was a really smart dude. I got good grades. When I went to high school as a freshman, I was in some advanced classes, And when I got into ninth grade and all them older kids that I hung out with, like they were always skipping school.
Mhm.
So when I got into ninth grade, it was all bad. That's when the drugs got really bad and I started doing harder stuff and pretty much getting kicked out of school. And they told me, they're like, well, you can just get your GED and it'll be just as good as graduating. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't want to be here anyway. I'd rather get high. So I took my GED test. I passed them all real easy and got my GED, and that was that.
Dude, let's talk about that. Like, so we went from, wanting more as a small child, just like I did, I've heard people say before, like, I didn't know I needed to drink until I took a drink. That was not my reality by any means. But what I did notice was the drive for more just shifted to drugs and alcohol for me. Like once I had those, like I had something in my body that gave me like an existence almost, because I didn't really feel like I felt pretty subhuman growing up as a kid. I just felt weird. And once I got into like the drugs and alcohol, like it gave me somewhat of an existence. So my more completely shifted to that, kind of like how you're explaining a little bit. So when you were getting into it, are you like me? Are you an all or nothing? Like, all right, we're diving head first into this, or was it kind of like a tapering effect for you? Did you have like any type of reservations going in?
Not really, man. It was just, dude, it progressed really quick and I was just all in. I remember like when it got really, really bad, I broke my leg because I used to ride a lot of BMX and stuff too. And we would, build doubles in the woods and go back there. And I broke my leg. I think I was 13 or 14. Broke my leg. It was horrible. Had a full leg cast for like 3 months. And they gave me pain meds. And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Ever since then, like I was completely addicted to pain meds. And the crazy part about it is I remember telling my dad that I didn't feel good one day because I didn't have any pain meds left. And my dad was like, here, take a couple of these. So he gave me a couple Norcos, is what he had, and I felt better. And he was like, you're addicted to narcotics. And it kind of like, I'm like, oh, really? That's weird. Like, I knew that I felt better when I took them and I didn't feel sick. And like from that moment on, me and him had that sick relationship where we would get high together.
Yeah.
And, my mom the whole time, she doesn't smoke weed. She doesn't do anything. I got two younger brothers, so I'm the oldest of three. They're looking up to me because they want to be like their big brother, and I'm steady just doing drugs. So you can the progression. They ended up following in my footsteps, and then the household was super dysfunctional. It was me, my dad, and both my brothers, and all of us using, and my mom trying to keep it together. It got bad.
Did you feel that for her at the time, or were you just completely tuned out?
I didn't have a clue really. I was just worried about getting one more. And then, like addiction ran in our family when it comes to like my aunts and uncles, and my mom had two sisters and both of them were addicts.
Yeah.
And we ended up having my aunt move in with us at one point, and she ended up passing away from an overdose, and we ended up adopting my little baby cousin when she was 1.
Oh.
So I ended up with a sister, and she grew up with us, and she's still my sister to this day. But her dad ended up committing suicide, and then obviously my aunt overdosed. So she grew up in that household too, watching all of us do that. And it was just her and my mom that, watching us 3 boys and my dad getting high.
How's she doing? Is she toying around with all that stuff, or is she
No,
staying
dude,
pretty much?
it's crazy because you know how they say like that's either gonna send you one way or the other. Like she completely was a brainiac, straight A student, ended up going to college, getting a master's degree. Like she's killing it in life.
That's awesome. Yeah, ripping. That's awesome. So you're sitting at home.
I think it basically showed her. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, you're
it showed her what not to do.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Like my sister, my family, I'm the only alcoholic in my family. My parents, no issue. My sister, she wanted to toy around with it a bit, mess around on the streets with me and a couple of buddies, goofing off. And she got a good look at what it was really like. And I'm a pile, dude. I drug my family through a lot. They had no idea what they were getting into. And so I've talked to my sister since then, and she, we've had a large connection since I quit, since I got sober. And she would tell me like the horror stories that I was at the house, but I wasn't present. So I didn't know what was going on around me. I was just, in my own addiction. And man, I did not understand the pain that I caused in my family until later on in life. But my sister is not one of those people. Like she'll have a beer, like she likes fancy beers. She'll take a couple sips. Like she's one of those people. It's like, like swirls it around, sniffs it, and like
can have one beer and they're done.
Yeah. She doesn't even finish it. She's like, it was too hoppy, or it was too. I'm like, I mean, I like 211, so all beer is good to me. You know what I'm saying? But she,
I had a friend that had a 211 too.
That's awesome.
Like 211, yeah. He had it
Steel
on his
Reserve.
leg. Yep.
That was like goals for me when I was growing up. Like I wanted something like that. That's tight. I'm glad I didn't get it, but I got a bunch of other stupid tattoos. I'll show you sometime. There's a lot of party still on me, not in me, but on me for sure. So you're fully deep in your addiction. You're fully just stuck. Opiates, was that your get down? Is that your drug of choice? Or
yeah, I think by the age 18 I was a full-blown IV drug user, heroin.
Yeah. Did you ever settle if you couldn't get a hold of it? Because we had like some pretty dry seasons when it came to like heroin or black heroin, and so we would do whatever we could, whether it be those Oxycontins when those came out or anything else. Like,
yeah, that's what we did them, and then somebody came and introduced me to that dope, and it was much cheaper and it got you higher. So the oxys cost too much, and once I did that and actually did that first shot, it was like it was game over. Like the feeling that I got from that, it's unexplainable, but it was like the best feeling I've ever felt in my life.
Yep.
So, and what happens after that, and it's just over with.
Oh, dude. Yep. I mean, the only way I could ever explain it to somebody, and somebody said it kind of made sense, was that dream where you're falling, but you're falling in a very warm situation, and you're falling through sheets of silk, and it's just the most beautiful euphoric feeling ever, And I was like, oh yeah, that's it. But it only happened once.
I remember my dad telling me, he said, if something feels that good, it's got to be fucked up. Yeah, well, whatever.
You're entitled to your opinion, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're full-blown addiction. Now, what's going on in your life besides addiction? Was it you just went down the rabbit hole? Did you end up on the streets like myself, or?
So I lived in my parents' basement.
Mm-hmm.
Never got a license. I had a girlfriend that lived in the basement with me. She had a car and she had really wealthy parents. I would work jobs for a little bit, or I worked for her dad doing construction, framing. Um, Never kept a job that long, but we just, our main goal was to get high every day. And I still fished, I would go out catfishing in the river or whatever, but most of the time it was just all about getting high.
Mhm.
That's all it was. I went to multiple rehabs. There had been many times where I, got sick and tired and I'm like, dude, I'm done with this. I'm going to quit. Go to treatment. They would suggest a program and, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'd stayed with that girl and as soon as I would get out, I would go right back to her and you already know the deal.
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
didn't leave all the old people, places and things alone. Came back to the same environment where I lived at with dad and it just never worked out.
Yeah. Now, did you feel I never felt this. There was a lot of things that I didn't know I felt, at least in my addiction, until I got sober because they were explained to me. It was just stuff that would run through my head, but I didn't know I was actually feeling that. Like I didn't know that there was a hole inside of me that I was trying to fill. Like there was like a void in my being that I was trying to fill because I was looking for that all or nothing solution, and I was looking for instant gratification, and I was looking for something to change the way I felt without me having to do any work with it.
Yeah.
And so I would always it was just easier to just get high and get drunk and do really dumb stuff, like that was my solution to everything. So I was always, basically what I'm saying is I was seeking a solution, and my solution ended up being drugs and alcohol every single time. Like every single time I would land back with drugs and alcohol. Even if I tried to change friend groups, it's kind of hard to change friend groups in Southern California because you can get beat up real quick for doing that. But like I'd try to introduce, myself to other people, or like go to a different area for the day and like hang out. Like I did a lot of skateboarding, so I'd like try and skate somewhere and do something like that and meet people that way. And I always ended up finding the same type of people over and over and over again. And I didn't know that I was seeking a solution. I just wanted to get high after a while because I felt awkward or I felt weird. I needed to get a couple beers in me to be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had the similar experience or.
I don't know because I've talked to people like that, my sponsor, and I feel like I felt like pretty normal as a kid, and my mom and dad always showed me all the love I wanted, but I think it was just once I did them opiates and I was sick, that's just a revolving door, and you wake up sick and you got to get high, and you get sick again and you got to get high to feel better, and it just was over and over and over, and it's like I don't know. It was just it feels like it was a nightmare for 15 years. I could never get it to stop.
Dude, I love how you say that. And I love how you put that because it wasn't a choice. It wasn't a mental or an emotional. You weren't seeking anything. Like that's awesome. Like it just happened to be that way for you. And I love the raw truth of this because a lot of people struggle with stuff like this. They don't know they're struggling. They just don't. It's just ingrained in them and who they are. And it's not necessarily heroin or dope or speed, hallucinogens, whatever. Pick your poison. Sometimes it's that guy who just needs that couple beers every day, like just a couple beers. Sometimes they take it too far, but usually the control freaks tend to work their stuff out for the most part. But they don't know. They don't know that that's in them, if that makes sense. Like they don't know that switch that they can't get turned off.
I have a friend like that it's not for us to say you're an alcoholic or not, but
No.
he might be. But every once in a while he'll ask me, you going to a meeting? You still go to the meetings?" I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah." And then he doesn't really say much else about it. But
Yep.
yeah,
I got those friends too, man. And it's super funny because it's I pop them every about once a year because I'm not gonna to ever like it's explained to me in my program of recovery that I'm not allowed to tell anyone that they have an issue unless their life is on the line. Unless
yeah.
they are threatening their lives, the lives of others, there's no reason to tell somebody they have an issue. It's not your place. But I will say non-alcoholics don't ever wonder if they're alcoholic. They just don't. It's
Yeah.
not a thought that crosses their mind. And then I give them an explanation like my sister. I've grown up with her and I've asked her a few times, "Hey, you think you got a problem with beer or anything?" No.
No.
I think I drank half a beer last week. I'm like, okay. See, that's true non-alcoholic right there, you know? So yeah, I got those buddies and I pop them with that. And then they give me like the dirty look, like whatever. I'm like, it's so cool. I have another buddy who literally thinks that I sit with an empty chair next to me because I always tell him I'm saving him a seat. I'm like, I'm saving you a seat. Anytime you're ready, dude, you can come with me. And so he literally was telling somebody we were out in a public event, like hanging out, and he's like, "Yeah, this guy, he goes to his meetings and he saves a chair next to him just for me." Like, this is cool. Oh, so self-obsessed. I love it. You know. So let's just jump forward a little bit. So you've been to treatment, you've tried it, you go right back to the same place over and over and over again. Just completely repeating yourself over and over and over again. Where does that land you? Like where are you at then?
So at that point, I'm getting pretty down on myself. And then, when you're 28, 29, 30 years old and you don't have anything and you're living in your parents' basement, don't even have a driver's license, never hardly even driven a car before, like you get pretty down on yourself, getting pretty depressed, I guess. Self-worth is super low. Even though I have a inflated ego and I think I'm the shit,
Oh
deep
yeah.
down inside, you know that you're just a piece of shit. So at that point, we had some family problems. Ended up losing that house in Kettering, and then we ended up moving to Bellbrook. And shortly after that, my parents, they didn't divorce, but they split up. My mom moved down the road, and my youngest brother lived with my dad, and then my middle brother, my sister, and my mom moved together. And shortly after that, my middle brother ended up passing away from an overdose, December 31st, 2013. And we all took that pretty hard.
Right.
I still continue to use after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do what we know how to do.
Yeah.
Do you feel at some point it became more of a coping mechanism at that point?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point too, like I had really just told myself, well, you're probably not going to live past 30 or 35 anyway, so you might as well just keep getting high.
Yeah.
And I was still with that girl, and it was just so toxic that's what happened. But at that point, I had gotten a taste of recovery. I've been to meetings. I had friends that were getting clean, and I'm like, you know what? Damn it, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, dude. I'm calling the guy that I know that runs this treatment center, and I'm getting back into rehab again. So, fast forward a little bit, my dad lost a house. Well, funny story. My dad sold the house that we lived in for like $50,000 cash.
Oh.
He bought like a 1979 RV that looked like that Breaking Bad RV.
Yes.
You
got the Walter White special?
Yeah, I'll have to show you a picture of it if I can get it one time. But
hell yeah,
he basically told me, he said, I'm driving to Cowan Lake or somewhere by there, and I'm living in my RV. And he said, if you want to come with me, you can, but if not, you're not going to have a place to live. And I'm like, well, you got 50 grand and, fuck it, I'll go. So me and my girlfriend and my dad ended up jumping in that RV, and literally with no idea in the world of where we were going to go or how we were going to live, and pulled up to this little campground in Clarksville, Ohio, and asked them how much it would be for a spot. And they told it was like $200 a month. And we pulled up there, and that's where we lived for like 2 months. And it was madness. And my dad he had kidney failure, and he was on dialysis, and we would have to drive him into town. And dude, that's when it got so bad out there that there was a tree out there. And I specifically remember looking in this tree, and I shit you not, and there was a noose in this tree. And I'm like, you know what? I've never been suicidal, but I'm like, I kind of feel like just hanging myself. So that's when I called that guy that ran the treatment center again. I'm like, dude, you got to get me in there. And he got me in there in about 3 days.
Ooh, it's a long 3 days, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome though. So he got you into a treatment center? Yeah, and we're not going to say what treatment center, but did they give you the full like turn and burn, or did they let you spin out and soak in your seat?
It was the same one that I had been to 2 different times.
Okay.
I say it's the best treatment center in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's small. It's ran by, 5, 6 people. It's 12-step base. They pretty much force it down your throat. And to graduate, you have to work a program. You have to get a sponsor. You have to go to a meeting. You have to go to they take you to a meeting every day, but you have to get a sponsor. You got to call your sponsor. You got to get picked up for rides. You have to do all this stuff on your own to show that you're actually trying to get some recovery. And it's like a 65-day program. And dude, I went in there and said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to run my life. Tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I let somebody else do what they know instead of what Ryan thinks he knows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, like the final powerless surrender, the final just to define surrender in recovery is not to give up on everything. It's to give up on what you know and allow somebody else to guide you, allow somebody else to give you a 2 cents and you receive it. It's it's real difficult being a selfish person. Like it's really difficult for me being a selfish, self-centered person to let somebody else tell me, okay, you need to do this. Okay, you need to do that, and me receive it. But I mean, I had a similar point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I just can't. I tried. I failed. Like I don't know what else to do, and I don't want to die.
And it's like I knew those other 2 times that I went through there, and that counselor, he's good. And we would be in group, and he'd be like, when are you going to surrender, doll? And I'd be like, I have, dude, I have. And he's like, nope. And they're saying there is, we'll leave the light on.
Yeah.
And he would always tell me that, and I'd get pissed off and mad, but he knew I was full of shit back then, and I just wasn't done.
Yeah.
And that 3rd time when I went in there, you just feel it. It's a heartfelt, deep down surrender where you just know, like, this is it. I'm done. Tell me what to do. And I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I was willing to do anything.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. I mean, you're definitely like me because I didn't want to die. I had a heart attack when I was 22, partying. I partied hard. And I got the paddles because I wasn't alive when they found me. and then or when the ambulance got there, and then I got the paddles again in the ambulance because my body just it couldn't handle it. You know, it just couldn't take it. And this is what I was saying in the very beginning, just to clarify. When I say obsessive and compulsive, like I have this obsession. Like I have this obsession in my mind that tells me that I need more. And then once I put more in, or I put anything in, or I need something, and then once I put something in, my body compulsively needs more over and over and over again. And what my brain is telling my body at this point in my life was more, more, more. And my body just didn't say no until it couldn't take anymore. So I don't know if you've ever had the paddles. They leave like these nasty bruise burns.
Mhm.
Like it's very uncomfortable. I would almost say it's like getting kicked by a horse, but I've never been kicked by a horse.
I
Knock
bet.
on wood. But I woke up in the hospital and I got out of there. And that wasn't my bottom. That wasn't even the end, you know?
Yeah.
I just was obsessed. I obsessed, like completely obsessed. And so that is, for layman's terms, how I'm kind of describing this obsession that both you and I have. So when you finally let go, when you finally let it go, when you're like, all right, dude, just show me. Like, was that a freeing feeling for you, or was that a painful feeling for you?
I mean, part of that old lifestyle and the girlfriend and all the old friends and all that, you still kind of you're thinking about all that stuff still while you're in treatment, but at the same time you're like, you got a lot of fear of what life's going to be like because all you did was drugged your whole entire life. You don't know anything else. You don't know how to live. Like I said, I still didn't know how to be an adult, drive a car. I never had my own place. Like, I was a full grown 32-year-old baby pretty much,
Yep.
It's like, but that's the good thing about the program and stuff. Like getting a sponsor in there and having these men teach me how to live my life and calling them every day and asking them literally from the time I woke up, like, okay, I'm in the sober living house after I graduated. Like, what do I do now? They're like, did you go to the bathroom? Did you take a shower? All right, what time you going to a meeting today? You got another meeting to go to. Who's taking you? Like, and I did that. I stayed in the sober living house, and then I went to another one, and I stayed in that town for I think 4 years, just doing recovery every day, meetings, Founders Day. We would go to recovery functions every weekend, speaker jams. I sponsored a few guys that would get out of that treatment center. I picked people up from that treatment center every day for years and took them to meetings. And that's the only people that I had in my life. I was completely surrounded by people in recovery.
Yeah, dude. That's
I left that girlfriend.
finally, yes.
Well,
No, that's the key. Like it really is the key is surround yourself with recovery. If you have, like, for people listening, if you have questions, whether you are addicted to anything, or you think you drink too many beers or whatever, like I said, most normal people don't question whether they're an alcoholic or not. But I will say the key is to get into a 12-step program. The key is to get around people in recovery. The key is to get busy and get moving, get work, get yourself a routine, and make sure that you have accountability with these people. Like, whether not only your sponsor, but pick 3 members of your fellowship, 3 guys or 3 girls if you're a girl, and get with them and talk to them every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, and make sure you hit as many meetings as possible. They say 90 and 90, but you can do more than that
dude,
if you're,
yeah,
if you're real driven.
we did like 200, and you know what I mean? You're going to the 10 o'clock, then you're going to the 12:30, then you're going to a 4 or a 5:30, and then some days you can go to an 8 o'clock meeting. I mean, you could hit 4 meetings. This little town that I went to treatment in, it's just like a epicenter of recovery for men and women because they have a women's center. Now it's been 10 years. That was July 1st, 2014 when I went into treatment. That's my sobriety date. But
Congratulations.
there's like multiple treatment centers in that area now, and it's just a recovery town.
I love that, dude. I need to go. I want to go. I really want to go visit there. I have some goals that I would like to go to Akron. I would like to check some stuff out because for people who don't know, that's basically where Alcoholics Anonymous was formed. That's where the programs, all the 12-step programs, are rooted out of, is Akron, Ohio. And I also want to now check out Kettering because that sounds awesome to have a full town of recovery. So
yeah, that's Xenia that I'm talking about, but
sorry,
close by.
Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna check. I want to check it out because after we get off here, I'm definitely gonna get that because I want to know how close it is to the areas that I will be visiting in Ohio soon. So yeah, because I definitely want to check that out if I can. I'm a tourist at heart, especially when it comes to like stuff I'm passionate about, and what I'm very passionate about is my sobriety first, more than anything else. So yeah. I'm definitely gonna hit you up on that in the green room after all this for sure. Anyway, so
we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it. So
fuck no, I'd be dead in a ditch, dude.
Exactly.
Yep. Dude. Exactly. So okay, so you stayed there for 4 years. 4 years of recovery, sobriety. It's looking good on you. No more girl. Dad's still in the picture. Brother's still in the picture. Sister, mom.
My dad, like I said, when we were out there in that little Breaking Bad RV, he had really bad kidney failure. And I was so worried about my dad the whole time I was in treatment. And, was he going to make it out there by himself? And he ended up passing away when I had like 5.5 months sobriety. But I got to go to the hospital with my dad. And I got to hold my dad's hand when he took his last breath. And I remember my dad telling me that he was proud of me and he had been waiting his whole life for me to get sober. And that's
powerful, dude.
That meant the freaking world to me because, my dad always said he was proud of me, but the relationship that we had was so toxic. And then when he got to see me turn my life around, it wasn't that long. It was only 5.5 months, but it was a real powerful moment. And I remember when he passed away, and it was me and my mom and my brother, and my mom started freaking out. And she was like, what do we do? Because like he was breathing real heavy and started breathing weird. And I'm like, we don't do nothing. Just hold his hand. And she was like wanting to get a nurse. And I'm like, they told us it was going to happen. And we were all there with him. And he quit breathing. And, after all that had happened, I didn't think about drinking, getting high at all. I just, I don't know. It was just different.
That's beautiful, man. That's amongst all that pain, like that's beautiful, dude. Like this. Thanks for sharing that, dude. I appreciate that. That's monstrous, dude. Like
I hate to get all teary eyed.
No, dude.
It's been a while since I've said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
sometimes I can talk about it and I don't cry, but sometimes I do. And that's okay.
That's totally fine. I got jammed up one time by this, for less of a better term, this vato that was in recovery out here, and because I get teary eyed when I talk about certain things in my life, for sure, and because I feel now, like I'm able to feel, I'm allowed to have feelings, and I'm allowed to express them, And he told me that. He's like, look, tough guys cry, and they're not ashamed of it. That's tough. Crying in secret or not crying at all, you ain't tough. Like, own that. Feel that. You're allowed to now. I was like, that's awesome. That's super cool. And he was like a gnarly dude. So I was like, if it's coming from him, like, it's okay that I cry then, you know, like, because I was like one of those people that would like start to cry and just get up and walk away. Whether I was, you guys call it leading, I call it we call it chairing out here on the West Coast. If I'm chairing a meeting and I start tearing up, like when I was new sober, I'd just get up and walk out. Like it was over, meeting's over, I'm out, you know, like because I was so embarrassed about it, you know, but I felt, and it was so new, and it's still like I still cry as a 42-year-old man. I do not mind breaking down and letting my emotions be my emotions, you know.
Oh man, I remember going to so many meetings after that, and just the fellowship is what, dude. They just people wrapped their arms around me and got me through the next couple weeks, months of just because me and my dad, dude, it was like my best friend.
Yeah, yeah.
We were super tight, and I was lost without him for a while. And then, you know, I'm still dealing with my brother passing away right before that. And then I have my youngest brother now who's coming up on 3 years sobriety.
Dude, congrats.
He was out there and, you know, he was messing around, and now he's clean, and recovery has brought me and my youngest brother. We've always been super tight. He always followed me around when we were little fishing, and now we get to go on cool trips together and fish all the time. And you know, I know my dad's proud. I know that much.
I hope you're proud too.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be proud. There's a difference between being proud of yourself and having pride, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got 4 years, no more dad. You and your brother. Was your brother sober by year? No, 3, 6, 8. So, no, he wasn't sober yet. So are you out there like hunting him down, or are you kind of like letting him do his thing, letting him take his ride?
Well, he did end up going to the treatment center that I graduated from.
Mm-hmm.
He checked himself in there. He was actually in that treatment center when my brother passed away. Yeah. And I remember having, I think it was either my mom had already told him and he called me, and dude, he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And he ended up staying there, and he ended up graduating, going to sober living, but it just didn't work out that time. He ended up, you know, long story short, he ended up relapsing and drinking. Yeah. And then the ball started rolling, and he ended up getting addicted to meth this last time, because we were all heroin addicts. But this last time he went another route.
Went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he was out there for a while. Yeah. And he, like, I would keep a distance from him, but I would still message him, still talk to him. I would still see him. There have been times where I helped him out with a vehicle, and but I remember, and he told me this not too long ago, I was fishing on the river one day. Mm-hmm. It was right before he had got sober, and I was down there on the bank, and my brother was on the other side of the river. Oh. And he was fishing. Oh. And I saw him, and I was so angry at him, you know, for you know, being out there and knowing there's a solution, and why don't you come back to treatment and get back in the program? And there was things, I had some resentments against him. You know, I helped him out, and he dicked me over, but I didn't even look at him, and I just kept fishing like he wasn't even there, and it was killing me inside. And I'm like crying while my brother's over there, because I know he's lost high as a kite. And I didn't know it, but after he had got sober, he said, man, that one time, he said, you wouldn't even look at me. He said, that ate me up so bad. He said, that was one of the reasons that I went back to rehab. He said it just tore him up. I'm like, you don't know how bad it was tearing me up to see you over there.
Yeah.
I've already lost one of my brothers, and
Yeah.
then I'm watching you slip away.
Yeah.
But I
Dude, now
mean,
you guys are on the same boat.
I know and I love him to death, man. I
That's
I'll do anything for my little brother.
dude, that's beautiful, dude. That's that's so awesome. I mean,
I was
it's
afraid that
rare. Go ahead.
I was afraid that I was gonna lose him too.
Yeah, dude, it's so rare. 1 in 10, 1 in 10 make it. Like that's the
Yeah,
odds. That's I don't make them. That's literally the odds, and that's
it
beautiful,
is.
dude. Like that's so beautiful. Like you guys get to do this together now. Like you guys get to go fishing. You guys get to be sober and go to recovery. Like that's
And mom doesn't have to worry about us anymore.
yeah, yeah,
That just the pain that you were talking about earlier, putting your family through and your mom. Like I knew what I was doing back then, but when you get sober and then you make amends and you look back at with a clear head of what was really going on, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. The hardest part for me wasn't the ninth step. It was probably 6 and 7 because 4 and 5 I know how to write down. I learned that there's a lot more selfishness in me than I thought, but
Yeah.
for sure, because I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, so I only think about me, and if I think about you, it's only because I want to know what you're thinking about me. That's about the way my brain works. So um when I had to let all that stuff go, I was listening to a guy who's speaking at this meeting, and he said, "You don't work on 6 and 7. You don't work on your character defects. You've been working on your character defects your whole life. What you work on is a relationship with a higher power. He takes care of the character defects. Don't worry about those." And that was so hard for me because I was obsessing on him because I knew I was going to have to read him off to people and like make amends for this stuff. And I was like, ooh, like I was like trying to mind my P's and Q's, like talking to people. Like I was trying to be all like, I dress up nice to go, say sorry, fucked you over or whatever, and just so I look like a total nerd. And I tell you what, man, there is a portion in the book that I did not care to follow the exact direction of my sponsor at the time, and it says unless it's going to cause harm to them or others, and sometimes the others is you. So I left at a couple of men's places with a black eye, and a few things like I definitely was a pile for sure. But when I made my amends to my family, there was a lot more there than I knew. I made amends for this stuff, like, but it was only a tenth when I was like, is there anything I left out? And they're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Like,
get a pen and
wait
a
a
piece of paper. Oh,
yeah. And it's
yeah.
crazy too because like I remember thinking that these people they were harboring some horrible resentment against me, and I thought it was going to go completely horrible, and they're just like, bro, it's all good and no big deal. And there were some that were dicey.
Oh, yeah.
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 And
Dude, I love those where you're caving in fear because you're about to go make this amends, and because you think it's going to go horrible, and like, bro, I haven't thought about you in like 5 years. You're like, oh, what?
yeah, I forgot about that.
You don't
Yeah.
think about me every day? What the hell?
Don't.
Yeah. So, okay. So were you when you got these 4 years, did you move out of that town after that, or did you still there?
I did. So I grew up in Kettering, Ohio, and after those 4 years, I decided I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel like I want to move back to Kettering. My family's there. My mom and my brother were living in this apartment complex, and my mom was kind of like the apartment manager. And I'm like, hey, I go be close to mom, my brother, and I had been to all kinds of meetings in Kettering, and I moved back here to Kettering. I had completely all new friends, all new recovery friends. Pretty much everybody that I grew up with in Kettering that I used to use with, they pretty much all had passed away. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
All my best friends, my childhood friend that lived on the corner, he ended up passing away while I was sober. My other buddy did. And, there's a lot of death in my story, man. It seems like anybody that I ever really loved and all my friends they're literally gone. And that's something that I still have to work on today because I have a lot of pain over that. I have a lot of anger over it, a lot of
Yeah.
hurt. Um, so I moved back here to Kettering, and you know, I still was going to meetings, but not as much as I did when I was in Xenia.
Mhm.
You know, it was more like 1 or 2 a week instead of 5 a week. And
Mhm.
I started meeting new friends in the fishing community, people off Facebook and Instagram. So
Yeah. So real quick, let's just dive into this real quick because it's. I feel like it's important. Either way, I'm interested. The pain and the anger, like I have it. I
yeah.
have it. I still have it. I've been sober since January 17th, 2005, and I've lost a lot of people as well. And some days I feel like the 12 steps aren't enough because the only thing I know how to do to solve stuff is do the 12 steps. I actually had to seek some outside help. My sponsor encouraged me to look at outside issues. Outside issues stay outside. So it's time to go look at those, time to start working on those. And I've definitely come up with I've definitely been given a set of tools outside of the 12 steps that has helped me deal with my anger and pain for a lot of a lot of things. What is your process that you go through? Is it a prayer and meditation for pain and anger? Are you writing? Or are you doing it all?
So I got a little book right here that I do a lot of writing in.
Mhm.
And it was funny because I had a bunch of old stuff in there I was reading before we got
Yeah.
on here. And there was stuff in there from when I first got sober that my sponsor had me doing. And like these self defeating principles that he had me write about.
Yes.
And the things that I was writing back then, it's just like, I can't believe I was even worried about that kind of stuff. It's just like, it was crazy, but it's like, it took me back to like how low I was back then, and all I really wanted was like to be sober, to have some friends, a car, and a place to live. And I was like, it's nuts. They tell you to write down what you want your first year of sobriety, and everybody gets mind blown because they get so much more.
Yep. Yep. Overpaid, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got yourself a job now. You moved back. You're with
I
the
got a
family.
girlfriend too.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I met a girl in recovery. I waited a year, like they said.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met her in the program. Sweet,
Love it.
sweet girl from Connecticut. She was absolutely beautiful and blew my mind. And she came after me. I'm like, man. So I ended up getting with her, and against my sponsor's recommendations, he said I probably should wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I went and got some other advice from a few counselors and wanted to hear one of them tell me, yeah, go for it. And a couple of them co-signed it, and I did.
All it takes is one yes.
And it was good in the beginning. She was great. She thought the world of me. But she was an alcoholic. She wasn't an addict like we are.
Yeah.
But she was definitely an alcoholic, and she drank that diluted vodka. And she couldn't stop. Couldn't stop. I stayed with her. I stayed with her for probably about 3.5 years through all that. And just watched her spiral downward, and she got really sick. Ended up getting jaundice, eyes turned yellow. And I remember she always would talk about her friends from Connecticut, because that's where she grew up. And she had these girlfriends in Connecticut, and she always talked about them and would talk on the phone to them. And we planned this trip to go back to Connecticut to see, so I could meet all her girlfriends and she could meet them and, you know, hang out for a week. And I went fishing off Block Island in New York, but I
That's awesome.
almost feel like she knew that she needed to go see them, because shortly after that trip is when she passed away. And she passed away from liver failure. She drank at 34 years old.
Literally drank herself to death.
To death, yeah. She ended up throwing up blood in the middle of the night. Ended up getting rushed to the hospital. Her liver and her kidney shut down. They put her in a medically induced coma. They tried dialysis. They tried everything they could. And her sister and her mom ended up making the decision to take her off life support. And that was another thing. I was there with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, she never told any of us that she was as sick as she was. I noticed when she had that jaundice, but I feel like she knew before that, because when we took that trip to Connecticut, her eyes were super yellow. And, you know, I'm just so glad that I had the money and the means to go there and take her there, because she got to see all her friends. And I don't know, that one really fucked me up. Yeah. And I feel like that's where the fishing really like took off.
Yeah. I mean, it's like an escape almost. Like it is your coping mechanism at that point. Casting for coping mechanism, you know?
Yeah, I definitely used it to escape from all those feelings. I would go to work. I would get off of work. I would go straight to the river, and I was there till dark.
Fishing alcoholically, dude. That's
But
awesome.
obsessive compulsive to the max. And, you
Oh
know,
yeah. Just one cast.
also, like, it was just part of my process, like talking to God when I was out there and just being out there in nature and just, I don't know, dude, I'd be out there crying, you know, for hours.
Yeah.
Obviously was going to meetings and talking to the sponsor and stuff, but
Yeah.
that's just what I did for a long time.
So I'm going to ask you this, and I don't necessarily always know how to phrase my questions, but was the fishing secondary for you at this point when you were going out there, or was the fishing primary?
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very terrible at asking questions.
Uh,
Did you go out there to feel and be with God, or did you go out there to catch some fish?
No, I just went out there to be with nature, God, and just be alone and feel some feelings. And
Yeah.
you know, it didn't matter at that point. I wasn't fishing to catch fish at all.
Yeah.
I was going out there for the healing and to be with nature and just be out there alone. You know, I was catching fish, but
Oh, well, I bet, dude. I've seen your Instagram. I'm sure you were catching
and
tanks.
you know, it was kind of funny because like I haven't done it in a while, but I would be out there and I wouldn't be catching anything. And I would be like, man, Lydia, if you could just let me get one bite or let something. And I promise you, there was times where I would freaking cast and I would catch one and I'd be like, you really are up there watching, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm didn't happen all the time, but I don't know. I truly believe it was.
Absolutely. So there's been many times where I've gone fishing and be like, oh, please, let me catch some fish today. God, I'd appreciate it, whatever. And it's, it either comes or goes.
Yeah.
But then there's times where like I'll get to take my 9-year-old son fishing or something like that. Like he was like 5, 6, 7, when we were doing this. And I was like, hey, God, I don't care. I don't care if I catch anything, man, but can you give the kid a fish or two? And that kid would reel in like 24 fish that day.
Bro, it's a little bum today, please.
Yeah, dude, just because I divorced and that takes a lot on him for sure. And now that I have my lady and another child, like I can tell that it emotionally takes a toll on him. And I want to do stuff with just him, because he needs that time, just dad and him, and so when we do go out, I'm all, hey, God, like just give him a couple fish, give the kid a win, like give the kid something where he can like, just have a proud kid moment, and dude, it never fails, man. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Yeah. There's somebody up there, dude. That's rad,
Yeah.
So fishing for coping, you're out there in nature, you're processing, you're doing your thing. How's the closure on all that? Like, are you over the hump of that? Like, are you starting to?
Yeah. So October 26th, 2019 is when she passed away. So it's been a while. But
Still recent.
I was talking to you about how she had a pond out on her grandma's property, and me and her used to fish there all the time.
Yeah.
And I ended up writing a letter to her.
Yeah.
Going out to that pond and reading it out loud, and that definitely was emotional. And I got to say some things that I wanted to say to her, and just going out there and reading it actually at that location too made me feel a lot closer to her.
Yeah.
And that definitely helped get a lot of stuff out. And I'm glad that God had put her in my life when he did. And one of the things that I was talking to my buddy about the other day, it's like being with her showed me what kind of woman that I deserve and what kind of woman that I want in the future, because I've never had a woman like that in my life. And she was everything that I ever wanted when I wrote that little list when I first got sober and more. So I hold on to that, and that, when it's my time, it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And if it don't, so be it.
Bro, it'll happen again. Like I'm sure you'll be, more will be revealed. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, you got 10 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You got your X chip?
Yeah.
I love that thing. The most life happened to me from 11 to 16 years sober. Like the most life. And it wasn't negative. It was that turn. It was that, how they always tell you there's hurdles, like 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15, 20,
Yeah.
Everything changed. And as long as I kept my little juicy fingers out of it and my opinions to myself, dude, my life got pretty damn good. I can't hate where I'm at today. Like I'm you know, I'm not going to say like I'm blessed and I am blessed and I am overpaid because I deserve to be dead in a gutter. Like that's where I deserve to be in life from what, you know, how I chose to live it for so long.
I gotta, you
You'll,
know, what's cool about like, so, you know, our recovery friends and how we get tokens or
yeah,
key tags if you're in NA, but
Yeah.
some of my friends that I met on Instagram, I'm going to grab something. It'll take me just
go for
a
it.
sec.
Go for it.
See if I
I'm
can
gonna
find.
shoot. I'm gonna shoot an ad real quick. Actually, let's see if I can do that. I don't even know. I'm gonna mute you for just a second. Mute. I'm gonna mute you for just a second. I'm gonna try this ad thing out, and we're just gonna do this live right here. See if it works. What up, dudes and dudettes? I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice by now, but you're gonna hear it for a little bit longer because this is a shout out to the sponsor of this show, Kayak City. Kayak City has been taking care of me ever since I started getting into a boat and paddling around in the water trying to catch some fish. And when I tell you it is Kayak City, it is literally like a city of kayaks. They have Bonafide, Eddyline, Feel Free, Hobie, Jackson, Native, New Canoe, Old Town, Wilderness Systems, and so many used kayaks. I stopped trying to count them a long time ago. If you guys are looking for accessories, they have walls and walls and walls of accessories. They have one wall dedicated specifically to Yak Attack, and it is a massive wall. Kayak City is your #1 Yak Attack dealer here in Northern California. If you want to know where it is, stop by at 7812 Auburn Boulevard, Citrus Heights, CA. Roll through, say what up to James, Troy, Eric, Scott. Tell them Dave says what's up and tell them I sent you there. Thanks for listening. And that is my silly ad that I read in my garage. Sorry. So
Go back and listen to it.
Sorry. So shoot me. What are we talking about? You got something from off Instagram?
So they like two of my friends, Destiny and Chris. You know them.
Yeah, dude.
Island
like
Barbell, Destiny, and African God. On
I love his name.
Yeah,
dude.
that handle is off the hook. But
yeah.
So they know I talked to them about recovery. They're not in recovery, but they're some of my best friends. And then them two people are freaking beautiful. So we went out to eat. Yeah, they're awesome. And we went out to eat at Huey Magoo's or whatever, and they're like, "We got something for you." I'm like, "Oh, what do you got?" So we're eating, and Chris's brother and his wife, they had like a little graphic company, and they gave me this. And if you can look at it,
oh, dude, that's awesome, dude. Shout out Chris and Destiny. That's a beautiful thing, dude. That is awesome. Wonderful friends.
It's like they're not in the program, but they still made this token with my name, Ryan Smalljaw Doll, and it's got a fish and it says PB 10 years. Dude, it was the coolest thing.
Oh, man, I love that, dude. I mean, I like them. I met them at Columbus last year, and me and Destiny and Chris, we sat there and chatted for a while. And then, you know, I've been chatting with Chris a lot on Instagram here and there. And that makes me like them like 1,000 times more.
Dude,
like, I already liked them a lot, but I'm like, dude, you guys are freaking rad. That's so cool.
Like, even talking to Chris the other night, we got him on the river for the first time on a kayak, and he's got a fear of being on a kayak in a river, like a deep-rooted fear.
Yep.
And we got through that and broke that fear, but he was talking to me, and he's like, man, just being around you and getting to know you gives me a whole different look on addicts and people in recovery and the people that I see on the corner of the road. And he's like, dude, it's changed my whole perspective on it. Yeah. And, you know, that really gets to me.
As it should, dude. I'm going to tell you right now, like, as it should. Like, you were a shining example of what recovery looks like. Like, that is awesome. Like, you were doing awesome. You know, and it's not just like your Instagram posts or just like in the small few conversations that you and me have actually got to have. I'm like, dude, the amount of recovery or the amount of passion for recovery that you have in your life today, it fucking shines through, dude. And that's awesome. Yeah. That is a beautiful thing. So,
you know, we always do the little events here in Xenia, and we got that big recovery picnic that we throw every year for the community, and kids fishing derby there, and I love that. And I'm out there with all the little kids, and we get them poles, and they get to keep them. It's just, I love catching fish with little kids. They are freaking ecstatic when they catch a little bluegill this big.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. So, all right, that what you're doing now? Like, you've been fishing for a while. You're doing fishing for recovery. That's not your job? That's not like what you do. You just do that out of the kindness of your heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I work now. So I work at a really cool place. They have an Instagram. We got a couple different because we're a couple different. It's five. I've worked for 5 Star Home Services. It's plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. And then we are in a big building called the Emerge Center. And this big building was bought by 3 people in recovery. One of them owns a roofing company. And he, at one point, was almost my sponsor. Another guy that owned the plumbing company, and the other guy that owned the HVAC company. All 3 of these men had this vision that they wanted to buy this old giant building where there used to be a trade school. They wanted to put all 3 of their businesses together and build a men's and a women's rehab. So the rehab is up and running. We've had up to 50 men at a time in there. We have a trade school for plumbing and HVAC. These men can go to treatment, go through the trade school. They can get a job for us. They own several sober living houses. It's like a whole recovery community type thing. It's pretty freaking sweet.
That's awesome. No, that is really freaking sweet.
Yeah. And then like 2 of my best friends, well, more than 2, but a lot of my friends that I'd met through the program, they've all transferred and they work here. One of my best friends runs the call center. My other best friend, he's an HVAC tech. My other best friend's warehouse manager. I'm a warehouse manager. It's just a big recovery community.
That's awesome. Now, any of those guys go fishing with you, or they do their own thing? Because it's normally a group that would not mix. Is what you end up with in recovery. So
yeah,
that's what I was curious.
So my one buddy that's the HVAC tech, he fishes with me occasionally, but he's not in it like we are.
Yeah,
just occasional.
Yeah.
And then my other friend that's runs the call center, his wife, she's always pumping me up on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, that's a big one. She knows all the lingo, but she doesn't fish at all. But she's a cheerleader. It's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You got to get her like an Achigan shirt or something, just here you go. Yeah. It's Swamp cool. Donkey or something. Yeah, dude. That's awesome. So you work at what seems to be like the most perfect place for you. They seem like they take care of everybody pretty well. You've been fishing a lot more lately. Like you got really big into Achigan the last couple of years. Do you know those guys, or are they? I know they're in Indiana, so they can't be that far from you. But is it just your love of smallmouth and their love of smallmouth, and that's how you guys like linked up, or how's that work?
Yeah, pretty much. When they first popped on the scene, it was like me, Brad Hicks, and Matt maybe, and a few other people around here. Started seeing them on Instagram, and instantly I gravitated towards it's river smallmouth. Yeah. And they had cool designs, and dude, I just rep them 100%. Josh, his brother, everybody over there at Achigan, they're all awesome people. I've obviously met them all in person and fished with Shrinko. They're cool.
Oh, I almost forgot, because you were just talking about getting Chris into a kayak. When did you start getting into kayaks? Because from talking to you, you've always been on the river. Like you're a big river guy. So
I did a lot of bank like wading and stuff when I lived in Xenia.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got sober, and started exploring different rivers and, driving up to Columbus. And I just, once I started catching smallmouth, the obsession kicked in, and it was like, where can I go to find a bigger one? And what new river or creek can I go to? Like, I wanted to know where the biggest ones were, what rivers had them. And, it was like a game to me.
Hell yeah, I want more and I want it now.
Yeah. Like, I don't have any kids, and so I have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
I ended up getting my first kayak right when I moved back to Kettering.
Yeah.
I bought a feel-free lure.
Oh. Dude, I just seen one of those the other day. That's cool.
Wheel in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I linked up with Andrew Hayes, actually.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, you were rolling your feel free by him at the
Yeah.
bank, and you're like, hey, dude, let's hit this. I'm gonna catch bigger fish than you, or what? How'd that work out?
I think, to be honest, I think my little brother was down at the river one day,
Mhm.
and he caught a carp, like a mirror carp,
Mhm.
and something else, and Andrew happened to be down there. And
Yeah.
Andrew whipped out his camera and took some high quality photos of this carp and a couple other fish my brother caught. And I remember my brother messaged me, and he's like, dude, I met this cool ass kid down on the river, and he took these pics of my fish, and check him out. And so I looked at his Facebook, and he's like sponsored by this company. And I think he was doing like Lucky Tackle Box at that time.
Okay, yeah.
This is like way back in Andrew Hayes' beginning. And I don't know. I just linked up with Andrew, and we started fishing together. And like,
You guys do. I bet.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew is a very driven person, so I have a feeling that were you guys always trying to outcatch each other? Are you guys fishing together? Are you like, I'll hit this side, you hit this side, and we'll move them here or there or whatever? Or is it like, dude, $5 biggest fish, $5 first fish, or $5 most fish, so let's do a $15 bet in the morning?
I mean, we really didn't do that. It was more like we would both go on river floats together, and we were just exploring together. And if he catch a big one, I'm super jacked up, and the same with him when I would catch a big one. And we had some amazing days floating the river together back in the day, and we just both grew our love for smallmouth kind of together on the river, and learned more and grew as anglers together.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. Like, I'm so competitive, so like, thank God I have my buddy Andy, because anytime I go fishing with anybody, I'm like, all right, I'll show you the spot, or we'll go to your spot, we'll go to my spot, we'll figure out, but I'm like always trying to like outcatch. I just because first off, I just need a fish on the end of the line. That's all I need all the time. And then because I'm a more person, and then once I catch one, I'm checking to see, because egomaniac here, I'm checking to see if it's bigger than their fish, or if they're catching fish. Like, I'm super competitive. So thank God I have my buddy Andy, who like knows exactly what to say and when to say it. He's not in recovery. He's not sober by any means. He's just like the best dude, and he'll just pop off at the mouth with some random something, and it just cracks me up, and it pulls me out of the full obsessive competitive part and just gets me back to fishing with my buddy, which is really rad. So it sounds like you had that from the gate.
I mean, I'm kind of like you are too. I always want to be, if I do something, I want to be the best at it, or I at least want to be really good at it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did with the smallmouth around here, and the river fishing. It's like I got completely obsessed with it, and that's all I did. And I was on YouTube. I was reading books. I was checking out, seeing where people were fishing, trying to find spots on Google Maps. I just wanted to catch more and bigger fish.
Oh yeah.
And I completely obsessed myself with it.
Oh yeah. Yes. So what's your tackle situation look like now? Like, do you have like a garage full of tackle, or you keep it pretty simple, or are you just all over
No,
the
man,
place?
I got a lot. And, you know, it's kind of like, so when you start fishing, you got a couple rods and a little bit of tackle, and then you get obsessed and you
Mm-hmm.
buy everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I'm at that point where like I know what works and I know what I like. So I haven't been buying a lot lately, but through those years, I just have boxes over here of unopened tackle that I had bought through the years. And some of it's like I'll never use any of that stuff now. But back then I thought it
Oh
might,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like I got a bunch of stuff that I give away to people or give to kids or my coworker. I've been giving him a lot of tackle lately.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm stuck on high end $650 NRXs and
Oh,
all that madness.
it's not. You all you did was take the step up on the obsession scale. You're like, all right, cool. I'm gonna hyper focus on this.
Yep.
Rods and big baits and all right. So I've heard, but I don't know because I don't live out there. But I heard that you're one of like the main dudes throwing big baits all the time. Like you always have a big bait tied on.
I do all the time now.
Yeah.
There's a few of us that do that have been doing it for a while. Dylan, Midwest River Rat,
Mhm.
shout out to him. He's locked and loaded with a big bait, and he will throw it till he like it's that or nothing. Like he's swim bait or die, bro. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
He'll try to force it, and that's who's coming to the Susky with us on Wednesday. So
He's gonna bring his sonar to the Susky?
no, I said that's
Oh.
who's coming with us.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said that he's bringing forward facing with us, and I was like, whoa.
I mean, Andrew might, but you ain't gonna use it in 3 feet deep. So
No. That's all I've heard is anything that you put inside below the hull of your boat, you're gonna get ripped off out there. That's what I hear. I don't know. I've never been there, but
I mean, that's what's cool too. Like, I'm going on the trip, and it's all Destiny, Chris, Tater, Dylan,
nice.
and Andrew, and all those people. None of them are in recovery like we are.
Yeah.
But it's all friends that I've met from the fishing community and Instagram and Facebook, and just new friends that I've found, and it's awesome.
I was actually talking to Brad and Matt about that. It's crazy. I did not know that there was another culture out there that I could find like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I've been in recovery. I just assume I'm crazy most of the time. Like, I'm nuts. They're never going to want to talk to me. Like, no one is like down the rabbit hole and stuff like I do. You know, like I also am one of those people that if I'm going to be doing something, I want to be good at it. Not there yet, but I'm trying. And, but I do love the fact that I got into fishing and found out that there's so many more people obsessed with fishing like I am. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, and they're good people. They're not, find seedy people in seedy places. Like it is, everyone that I've met in fishing is such a quality person. Like, this is rad. I'm sure there's some D-bags out there for sure, but I haven't met one yet.
Yeah.
Like everyone's very just cool.
That is what's cool about the fishing community, and even the niche river smallmouth type of guys. It's like, dude, everybody that I met on Instagram or Facebook have been super freaking cool, and we get along great, and it's cool because at one point I thought like, oh well, all my friends are gonna have to be these sober recovery people now, and maybe in the beginning, when I had.
I lost you. Hang on a second. There you are. Sorry,
I got a phone.
It's all good.
And another one of my fishing buddies trying to call me.
Hell yeah. But, no. In the beginning of recovery, you want to surround yourself with people who are sober, who are actively sober and putting action into their program. Like that is how you stay sober.
Yeah. But like not all these people that I hang out with, they would never. I remember somebody was going to order a drink and they're like, is it is it okay if I'm like, dude, it's all good. Do whatever you want. Like you can, I'm not drinking. You can order a drink.
Mhm.
But that's
That's
only
awesome.
years of sobriety, and it doesn't bother me like it would have in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like it's funny because I still have like a couple friends left here and there, and like I have plenty of friends who are not sober. And I've gone to the bar plenty of times. I went to Old Fields when I was in Columbus with everybody. Like we had a good ass time.
Yeah.
And it's always funny because someone's like, dude, is it cool if I have a beer? I'm like, it would be weird if you didn't, and
Yeah,
I would feel
exactly.
weird that you feel weird. Like
Yeah.
you're making it awkward. Just drink your beer. It doesn't bother me at this
Yeah.
point.
I
Like,
just want to make fun of you when you get drunk.
yeah, I want to tell you, you should take that next shot. That would be a good idea. Like, I'd take that shot, wouldn't you?
Right.
But yeah, it's like, dude, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I want to enjoy my time. I want to enjoy my life. Alcohol is good for you. It's just not good for me.
Yeah.
It don't bother me none if you do it. I
Yeah.
just don't want to have to like get thrown. Just don't throw up on me. Like that's like my bar. Like, don't throw up on me,
And we're good.
Yeah. So dude, this trip coming up at the Susky sounds amazing. You guys are going for how many days?
The plan is to leave Wednesday morning about 6 o'clock, and then we'll be there through Sunday. We're gonna leave Sunday probably, as long as we get back here so we can all go to work Monday morning.
Just toasted. We're fishing the river.
Yeah, I hate leaving that place, man. It's absolutely a small river, smallmouth. If that's your thing, it's absolute freaking heaven. It's the coolest place I've been in the world for a river. It's nuts.
I got to get out there. I got to try that. I just started getting into moving water because I had the RVR forever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if we have a river kayak, I might as well get into some moving water because I too have a fear of just water in general. I just do. I'm not. I can take a bath. I can take a shower, but don't ask me to jump in the pool. I'm just not that guy. But getting in the RVR, getting into moving water was like, my wife is also in recovery, and it was my birthday and last year, and she was like, let's go to this lake. I was like, yeah. And we go to the lake. The lake's not a lake, it's a river. The lake was the lower portion, but she wanted to get in the river where, and I was like, I brought my kayak and everything. I was like, I'm gonna do some fishing and have a good time. And I was like, I was hesitant to even do it. I was all frustrated and like, this is my birthday. Why are we going here? Like whatever. Me. That's my shit. And I finally just bit the bullet and put the boat in the water and started paddling around. Dude, it is really fun, especially once you figure out how to like float in current seams. I'm like, dude, this is cool. I really like this. I didn't catch a dang fish. I spent most of the time like trying to figure out how to keep the boat pointed the right direction in moving water. But dude, it is so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole next level.
And then, having a motor.
Yeah.
Once you get a motor, bud, it's spoiled me, and I'll never go back. Fishing a river with the motor is the deal. With the foot control steering, you can't beat it. It's amazing, especially for places like Susky and stuff like that. It's so ideal that me and Andrew went fishing. This is last year. I forgot my battery at home. And I'm like, I'm not fishing. I'll be back in an hour. I'm going to get my battery. I drove all the way back home to get my battery to come back because I didn't want to put my kayak in without the motor.
Hey,
that's how bad it
is. Hey, it is quality problems in my opinion. That's awesome, dude. I mean, I'm still stroking paddle strokes all day, like just trying to figure it out. I want the motor. I will get a motor. I will get a motor. I just don't know when. Yeah, I just don't know when.
You'll join the club soon. You'll have one next spring. But look what I got.
Dude, you will know the moment I get a motor because you're gonna get photos all day. I'm gonna check this thing out. Yeah. So what are you gonna be pushing when you're up there? Like what kayak are you gonna be hitting the Susky with?
I'm gonna be in that new canoe Flint
Oh yeah.
with a NK 180 and a Dakota battery.
Nice.
And then
You were telling me about it.
I'm bringing the Pro Anglers, the 360s. I have 2 of those. So Chris is going to be in one of those, and then I'm bringing the other one if Destiny. We got a house right on the river, so she can jump in and pedal around if she wants.
That's awesome.
She's mostly going to be working the whole time, but
yeah, because she does. She can work from wherever she's at, right? She does remote stuff. I've talked to her before. She's like full remote.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know she works for American Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
She so
yeah. All right. So I have a couple questions for you because I don't want to hold you too long because I know you got a bunch of stuff to do, but I do have a couple questions for you. It's all good. I actually wrote these questions down, so I'm pulling them up now because I always forget to pull it up. But there's a couple things that like I feel like you've kind of already answered, but we're gonna go through them anyways, just because everybody has a different story. So let's talk about your major life accomplishments. Like, what is your major life accomplishment outside of fishing?
getting sober, I would say. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
1,000. That's my answer every time.
I truly believe I would not be talking to you right now if I was not sober. I would be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
1,000%. That I'm in the same boat. And so, do you take what you learned in life, not just sobriety, but like lessons you learned in life, whether it be patience or whatever? Do you take that and like put it into action on the water, or do you take lessons that you learn from the water and put them into action in your regular life, like patience? But is there anything that you've learned out there fishing that you're like, dude, this could really function well in life?
I mean, yeah, just, you know, like the one thing you mentioned, the patience and stuff like that. But I really can't think of anything specific, but
Yeah. I mean, for me, like the biggest thing that I learned when I got sober is it's not about me. It's not about me anymore. So like when I come into mental blocks or like emotional struggle, like even like physical limits, like limitations, like it's not really about me anyways. It's not that, I need to get out of my own way and let life do life's things, And so when I'm out on the water, dude, and I'm not having a good day fishing, it's not about me, like I've really learned to be like, dude, look at the surroundings, like look at the water, look at what you get to do right now. Like,
yeah, dude. I got checked today by the chef. We have the main guy that runs the cafeteria.
oh yeah.
He is a graduate of that treatment center. And I walked in to get my breakfast this morning, and he's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I'm stressed out. I got a lot to do today and tomorrow because I'm going to be off all week, and I got to get everything stocked in the warehouse and yada, yada, yada. And I got to order this and got to do this." And he's like, "Man, luxury problems, huh?" And I'm like, I said, "Thanks, man. I need reminded that." He's like, "Dude, just think about it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm crying about going on vacation and catching 20-inch smallmouth." So, but it's good to see. That's what it's like at my work, though, having people in recovery around me at all times to remind me. It's like, take a step back, Ryan. You're crying about some dumb shit.
Dude, no, it's awesome. I love that. Like the accountability, like we all have our turn in the barrel, and sometimes my problems are so minuscule. Like they're
Yeah.
luxury problems. They are glorified luxury problems at this point.
Yes.
And yet I cannot see past them. You know what I'm saying? And it's always like when I go to a meeting, some newcomer, some guy, the guy with 9 months. The guy with 9 months, I feel, is like the most sober person in the room because they're about to have a year. They've almost, if not completed their steps. So they have everything licked and they're like the most spiritual being at that point, you know? And I feel like it's always like the guy with 9 months that just says the one thing where like you want to turn around and smack him and you're like, dude, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let this go right here at this door because you are 1000% right. As much as it irks me. Health, dude. Health, hydration, diet, mental clarity. What are you doing? What are you doing for yourself these days? Besides drinking Red Bull and
there was a time. So there was a time in my recovery. It's about 3 years to 5 years, and I completely was a freaking gym rat. Dude, I worked out 5 days a week. I'm a small dude. I've always been like 125, 130 pounds. And I ended up getting up to 150, was completely Bruce Lee shredded, and I felt great. And
I bet.
Oh yeah, I got some pics on Facebook, but I ended up the fishing took it right away, bud. I mean, and that's like Chris and Destiny. They're like they do a lot of powerlifting.
Yeah.
So I'm telling Chris, I'm like, dude, we need to at least get me back in the gym once a week. My shoulder is torn out the frame, and I probably technically, you know how some of us are. I hate going to the doctor. Yep. I probably need surgery on this shoulder as we speak right now. And
you know better.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Procrastination at its finest.
Oh, dude, I love it. The same way. I'm like super glue. Oh, dude, I fell fishing with my buddy off like this cliff, like steep embankment, and smacked my head on a rock, broke my sunglasses, the whole nine. I didn't even know, but I'd split my eyebrow open. So all of a sudden, like I couldn't see out of one of my lenses and my sunglasses. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, did I break it that bad? And then my buddy's like, dude, you're bleeding. I was like, oh, blood. I come home. I asked my wife, I'm like, does it look bad? She's like, I was like, all right. So I go in the garage, dude, because I'm not going to the doctor, dude. I grabbed a tube of super glue and I tried to super glue my eyebrow shut, you know? No, didn't work. As soon as I hopped in the shower, that thing just popped off and it was like my eyebrow fell in front of my eye. And I was like, oh. So I had to give in. I had to let that one go and let the doctor do what the doctor does.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of, so the fishing is really physical. Kayaking's physical, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dragging kayaks up and down hills and waiting miles and miles. Just the other day, I took a kid that graduated the treatment center, and he asked me to take him fishing. Picked the dude up. We went down. We went fishing. We walked probably 3.5 miles. We left. Got done on the river. Went to a meeting. Meeting was at 8:30. Stayed till 9:45. Drove him all the way home, and I'm like he was saying that we walked like 4 miles. I'm like, yeah, bro. I mean, you got your exercise for the day.
Got your exercise for the week. Yeah. And it ain't walking on dirt. It's not like you're walking on sidewalk or something. You're rolling your ankles, crawling through rocks and just
hills.
Yep. Dude, do you remember pogo balls? Because you're same age as I am. Do you remember the pogo ball ad? It's like a pogo stick, but it's a like an inflatable rubber ball with a plastic disc around it. Looks like Saturn.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So if you can find them on the internet, they're almost impossible to find these days. But if you can find one, I learned this through skateboarding, but it works so good when I'm like, because I have a creek right by my house, so I'll wander down the creek and catch. It's loaded with like little spotted bass, loaded. And so I'll take my son down there. We go catch them and walk up and down the creek. It doesn't bother him, but at the end of the day, dude, my ankles are dying. So you get the pogo ball and deflate it a little bit and then roll the edge disc all the way around in a circular motion. Dude, world of difference for your ankles, dude. Your ankles and your calves. Oh yeah. Especially because you're you're still dragging. You're still in the trenches, dragging your kayak. You're still hiking rivers all the time. If you can find one of those or like get something similar and just roll the edge all the way around, it gives full rotation to your ankles, dude. Blood flow, muscle, ligament tension, like everything comes back, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, I want to get back in the gym, dude. I feel like I was in the best shape of my life at age 36. So
Hell yeah, it's time, buddy. We ain't getting any younger. You better
No.
call Chris after the. Better call Chris right after you get off the phone now, dude.
yeah.
So, gym rat then. But what are you doing now? You drink plenty of water. You do any like element or anything like that, like the electrolytes or?
I have a problem with going kayaking.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Hicks has the same problem. Shout out Brad Hicks. So I'll get on the kayak. I'll bring, big old jug of water, a couple Gatorades, or one of them Gatorade electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, and I'm so hyper focused, like I have to force myself to drink water. The day that we just took Chris out, I
Yep.
woke up Sunday morning with a freaking pounding headache because I drank a half a bottle of Gatorade for 12 hours.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people like that. Like Dylan just told me on the phone yesterday. He said, when we go to the Susky, you're going to have to be my daddy and make sure I'm drinking liquids because he gets migraines too from being dehydrated.
I'm literally the same way. Like I said, shout out my buddy Andy. Thank God for Andy, because Andy's like, hey, we should pack lunches if we're gonna do this all day. I'm like, oh yeah, we should. I wouldn't have stopped to eat. I wouldn't have stopped. I don't stop to drink. I do the same thing, dude. People are like, oh, what do you eat when you're fishing? I'm all air, maybe a couple Zins. Like that's about all I crush.
I eat, dude. I put down so much food. I'm telling you, like I can eat like a freaking pig, and I don't gain weight.
Yeah.
I usually take 3-4 peanut butter and jellies, all kinds of snacks, crackers, everything, peanut butter crackers, and I eat the whole time. I just don't drink anything.
Oh yeah. No, that's what I was saying. I set my alarm on my phone. I'll give myself like a couple hours, and then my alarm will go off, and it'll remind me, oh yeah, I gotta drink some water real quick or something, because I won't think about it.
I need to do that this trip.
Dude, do you have an Apple Watch, or do you have a watch that syncs to your phone?
No, I got an Apple phone.
Yeah, smart. Don't get one, because it's just the next wormhole in Apple. I have one. It sucks. I love it. But yeah, just set an alarm. Just I'm gonna be out for 12 hours. All right, 2, 4, 6, 8. There you go. Take a sip and get back to it. There's been a couple times where my alarm went off and I was on a fish, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not drinking. That can wait.
Wait a
but
minute.
yeah. So what about mental clarity? What are we doing?
I still go to a lot of meetings. Me and my brother just went to one. Talking to people in recovery. Little morning program and night program that I slack off on a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
Don't ask me the last time I wrote a 10 step. Swear to God.
I mean, it might even be just as quick as saying a little prayer. Thanks for waking me up, and saying a little prayer before nighttime. But
yeah. Yep.
I feel like in the last 3 or 4 years, my meeting attendance has completely went down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird. Like my brother being newly in recovery, has kind of pulled me back into the program, doing more meetings and being at work with all these guys that are fresh in treatment or out of treatment. I get to see them and talk to them every day. So that's cool.
Yeah. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like that's a God thing? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay any type of like pain and anguish that your brother went through, but he's back and he's fresh, and you're at a point of complacency, and that like that's a God thing in my point of view from sitting over here in California.
The whole job that I have, the way that I got the job and everything, it was definitely more than me. I didn't get the job. Like the way that it unfolded, I'd have to tell the whole story, but it was definitely a God moment. And
Shoot it, dude. We're not nobody's going
so
anywhere.
like everybody was talking about this place, and then my friend, his wife went over there, and she's like, dude, it's awesome. You guys should probably get a job here. Well, my buddy went and he left. And then a spot opened up, and I didn't put the app in. I had a lot of fear. I was at the same job for 7 years. I'm like, I'll just wait, see how he likes it. Well, the spot got taken. And I'm like, oh. And then like a month later, that spot opened up again, the same position. And like Kelly had messaged me like, dude, you better apply for this job. And then another guy from that work messaged me, and I'm like, dude, all right, I see you. I need to work here. Let me put the app in. And it's been great ever since. I'm glad I went there.
Dude, that's awesome. So rad. So wellness, mental clarity is your spiritual connection and talking with other alcoholics on a daily basis. That's about as solid as you can get. That's awesome. I love it. Now, what would be your advice? This is not on the questions. What would be your advice? Because there's a lot of us. There's a lot of alcoholics in the community, in the fishing community. There's a lot of sober alcoholics, and there's a lot of practicing alcoholics. So if you had something besides exactly what you're doing, which is living your life by a shining example, what would you say to somebody who is struggling right now? Like, any advice besides just jump in treatment, or is it, take a look at it?
I mean, I would say don't be afraid to reach out. You got to take that first step of reaching out to somebody and, asking for help, because there's so many people out here that are willing to help people, get sober, because that's what keeps us sober. I mean, we have to help other alcoholics or addicts, and that's what we want to do out of the kindness of our heart. So don't be ashamed. I mean, there's more people recovering out loud now than ever, and it's just kind of like the thing to do. It's the cool thing to do now, dude, for real.
Yeah, it is. It used to be smoking cigarettes, and now it's being sober.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people now are sober, and it's cool to be sober. And you got celebrities talking about sobriety, and it's just, I don't know. And I don't knock anybody that's not sober, because I have a lot of friends that aren't. Mm-hmm. But if you might be one of us, this is the way to go. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can, people who listen to this show or watch this show, like, feel free. I'm _Wolf of Walmart on Instagram. Reach out to me. Yeah. You can reach out here at the Whole Angler Podcast. Call Doll. Well, don't call Doll, but hit him up on the Instagram. Like, if you are struggling, yeah. If you are struggling, and this is like a no joke, like, I'm not going to put some zing on the end of this. Like, if you are struggling, if you feel you're struggling, if you don't know what to do, like, and you don't want to do it anymore, like, reach out. Like, I'm here for it. I will freely give what was freely given to me any day of the week.
Yeah. And I've had people reach out to me. I mean, you've had it happen too. It's cool.
Yeah.
When somebody reaches out and they're like, I need help. And it's crazy, because I've had people reach out that were sober when I was a mess, and now they're a mess, and I get to help them. It's cool.
That is awesome. Yeah. So, do you have anybody that you'd like to shout out? Because we're going to go ahead and start closing.
Man.
Any shout outs? Shoot for the moon. Shout out everybody.
Yeah, right. My sponsor, the program, the 12 steps, God, and there's some companies that help me out with some fishing stuff, and I'm not really on any pro staffs or anything, and I don't have a YouTube channel, but shout out to Achigan, badass company. Follow them on Instagram. Big Joshy Swim Baits. They've always supported me. best swim baits in Ohio. Lavina Lures. Brian over there is an awesome dude. He helps me out when needed. And, Andrew Hayes, he's been like a mentor to me. He's been the nicest dude ever. Just shout out Chris Destiny. Everybody that I kick it with and fish. It's just I'm glad to be a part of the smallmouth community.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. All those people, well, I don't know the lure companies, but all the people that you mentioned, I've got to meet in person. And dude, you surround yourself with quality people. You're literally living the dream right now. That's so cool. I just want to thank you for coming on here and being willing to come on here and talk about this stuff. Like, I feel like it needs to be talked about, and I couldn't figure a better guy to sit down and talk about it with. So, dude, thank you for opening up. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for talking about the difficult stuff, and I'm glad I got to get it out. It's always good to relive some of that and get some emotion out and talk about it. And, you never know when somebody's struggling through the same thing that you just talked about.
Yeah.
So.
Nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
So thank you again, dude. I'm gonna put you excuse me, I'm getting all choky, dude. That was a rad experience. Thank you. I'm gonna put you on the green room thing. I'm gonna go ahead and pull you out of the podcast and close it up. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you,
buddy.
That I don't have enough words of appreciation for what Ryan just said and his story. So thank you, Ryan, for everything, dude. Dude, you're the man. You're next level. And if you guys have any questions or you're just something's off and you don't know what to do, reach out right here. You can reach out to me. I'm willing to listen. I'll field calls all day. Like this is a struggle that somewhat goes overlooked or is always kept quiet behind doors, and it doesn't need to be behind doors anymore by any means. So if you guys are struggling, I'm definitely here for you. Ryan's here for you. Like, there's a community here for you. So don't be afraid to reach out. And thank you guys. That is episode 3 of the Whole Angler podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, have a good time fishing.